You're an MIAA guy. Always have been. Probably, always will be one way or the other. You're going to end that relationship this year. Your thoughts about that?
Fred, it's been a great, from a marriage standpoint, it's been a 100-year marriage. Obviously, there's just 3 charter members left, and we hope we're as fortunate as we move into the GLVC, which I want it's important for us to know we're excited about that move as well. It's absolutely the right thing to do for our university, as you and I sit here and speak today, for a lot of variables which we won't get into. But from an MIAA perspective, it's extremely important to guys like myself, to our alumni, that we do just absolutely as well as we can from a competitive standpoint in our last year and what's been a great football conference for 100 years now.
Start with your offense. Last year, maybe the first 6 games, don't know if you had an identity. Maybe the last 4, I think you did. What will the identity of your offense be this year?
Well, that's probably been the biggest work in progress as we've come into Truman State University for me for my 3rd time, Fred, is figuring out who we are from an offensive standpoint. And what I mean by that is who we can recruit, the types of kids we can recruit for an offense. And we think we've settled into that. We're going to base out of a 2-back set, but we'll be multiple. We're always going to run some option stuff. You may not be with a quarterback like Conrad, for example, and he'll slap me for saying that because he thinks he can run as well as the next guy, but being judicious with the contact he takes, and then also some play action passing, that type of stuff. But we did settle into who we think we're going to be for a long period of time over the last half of last football season. We're going to continue to build on that and hopefully get even better on that side of the ball as we head into 2012.
Defensively, you played a lot of people last year because of injuries and everything else. That's the bad news. The good news is you have a lot of people with experience coming back.
We do, Fred, and I think we've counted up. We've got 25 defensive football players that have 100 to 150 MIAA snaps. So a ton of experience, which means we've got some bona fide competition in camp. We've got some bona fide MIAA depth for the first time since I've been back here at Truman State as we head into our 3rd year. And when you throw in Eric Phillips, arguably one of the finest punters in the nation at the Division II level, and Derek Coons, one of the finest place kickers in the nation. Between kicking game and defense, we think that's a pretty good place to start. And time will tell. It's all words right now. But if those kids come in and produce and play as we think they're capable of, we think we've got a chance to slow some people down, be good in the kicking game, keep getting better on offense, and start putting this thing together from a product standpoint in terms of winning and losing on the field.
You look at your schedule, the first 3 games. I know you don't look any further than 1 game at a time. But if you look at the first 3 games, they are more manageable this year than they were last year.
Well, they are. There's no question about it. I think we started last year, Fred, with Northwest Missouri, Pitt State, University of Central Missouri, Washburn, 4 of our first 5. You're looking at Southwest Baptist, Lincoln, Northwest Oklahoma, who we don't know much about. But I would say I played a little bit of golf this summer. They say that loosely. I was out on a golf course a little bit, and they have something. When you play with me, if you get close to that cup, I'll give you a gimme. There are no gimmies in college football. You're going to have to go out and play, and it actually gives this football team, our football team, a little more pressure to find some early season success. It's imperative that we do that sometime early in the early season.
But winning those first 3 ball games would be huge from a confidence standpoint to give you momentum for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'll back you up. Just winning the first ball game would give us some confidence. We're really not. We just got done staffing as you stepped in, and we're pretty simple folks. And I think the key to a big vision or long-term success is a real simplistic approach, a daily approach in how you prepare, both as a coach, as a player, as a staff. It's 1 day at a time, it's 1 practice at a time, it's 1 period at a time. And if you start looking at what could happen over a 2 or 3 week stretch, it's not going to happen for you. So we really need to relearn how to prepare as we start camp, and I think our players will buy into that approach.
Richie Schumacher, he's an old time. He can play at any time level. 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 60 years ago, he hits. He's nasty out there. He goes after it. He plays hard on every play. Talk to you about him just a little bit.
Well, he had a breakout year. You know, anytime you're named any All-American team, and you're exactly right. He could have played with us in the 70s for certain. I'm certain in the 50s, 60s, and we've got a bunch of those guys. You look at Michael Elliott, who we're getting back as a free safety, Trey Millender, just the safety position alone. All three of those kids are dynamite football players and tough guys. And you throw in a guy like Wade Pelk, a Charlie Heinzman, a Connor Nagel. You got Harold Lloyd. You got Patrick Blackwell, Nick Abadi. You got Jeremy Dockery. Just to name a few, just the starters as we sit here and speak defensively. All those kids, I'm very proud as I go down as an alum. They could have played with us in the 70s. They're dogs, and you know, it's Northeast Missouri State, Truman State, but we're Bulldogs forever. That's one thing we have in common, and we think we've got some great kids and some pretty good football players, and you know, time will tell.
Going into the season, do you like your football team?
Absolutely. We like the possibility of who we can become. In the same breath, once again, doing this so long, starting my 33rd year, you've got to start at ground zero. You can't assume anything. We have to relearn, literally, Fred, how to practice. Just like I driving home last night and I saw the Little Leaguers on the practice field here in Kirksville, Missouri last night, and you've got to start with the basics, and even with the veterans, I like the possibility of who we can become. I like what we've done thus far in our winter and summer conditioning, but we've got a lot of work to do in the next 22 practices, which is a third of the football season as we get ready to really start doing battle.
You're starting your 33rd year. Are you as excited this year as you were your first year?
Fred, I would say absolutely. I mean, as you asked that question, I got goosebumps, and you know, the anxiety. I can't sleep. You can absolutely feel the enthusiasm with each year. Each team's unique. The challenge for me, in some ways, I've never grown up. I'm still a little kid playing little kid games, and to try and develop men through the sport of football. All the challenges that go through, absolutely is exciting. I still feel young. You and I, we talk about fitness and walking and jogging and those types of things, so I'm as fit as I can be, and as long as I get those goosebumps and get excited, Lord willing, I'd like to get another 10 or even 15 years in this profession.